Hey everybody, welcome back to the IHC Craft Room. Today is live number 14 of the Father's Day favorite series, and we're going to be dot painting a clock today using this Goalie image. So it's a long project. I think this is going to be longer than a usual project. So we're not going to do every single step together so that we can cut down on some of that time. But we are going to talk about it though. So first of all, I got this clock set from Dollarama in Canada. I don't know what I originally paid it for, but I think I saw it the other day and it was something like $5. But it does come with the mechanism included, and it's actually really easy to take it out of this container and to take the mechanism out of the base of your clock as well. So I've already pre-painted the base of my clock, so I'm going to bring that out so we can talk about it a little bit, and then we'll get started on, voila! We'll get started on, dotting our Goalie. So I've painted this a really vibrant blue because I'm making this for my husband, who is a big Toronto Maple Leafs fan. So we're going to do the background royal blue, but I'm going to make the Goalie black and white and maybe a little bit of silver. We'll see. I picked up these numbers from Michael's Canada. I hate them. I hate them a lot. They're terrible. And I'm annoyed enough by them that I'm probably going to write a bad review on the on the product page on the website. So do not recommend. I would actually recommend going on Amazon to pick up some numbers. They actually make them. They're called clock numbers, and they come in a set for that purpose. So for today, I have some I've pre-painted. Okay. I've got some ready to go. But I'm not going to glue them down. We're going to talk about it, but I'm not going to actually do it because I am actually going to take my own advice and buy some numbers from Amazon, and then I'll stick them on at the end. So, numbers, awesome. Mechanism. This is the mechanism that this base came with, and I did a lot of damage to this washer over here because I was convinced that that was the key. It was not the key. The key was actually this very, very top little nubbin piece. If you just pull on it, it pops right off and all of the other pieces come off super duper easily, and it came right out of here. So I'm just pointing this out to you because whether you use this set from Dollarama or you buy a clock base from somewhere else, sometimes the path of least resistance is the right way to go first. I almost destroyed this thing is what I'm trying to say, when really all I need to do is pop off the top. So anywho, do as I say, not as I do, and live a better, more calm life. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. We're going to put that in after our Goalie has completely finished drying. So my plan is to put him right in the center with the mechanism going through his stomach or something. And we're going to be using a chalk transfer method that I use all the time because I am not capable of freehand drawing. So we're going to be doing a chalk transfer by using this chalk pencil and something to press down on. We will transfer this image onto our base, and then we're going to start painting and dotting it. There's a lot of lines on this Goalie. So I think I've decided that I'm going to paint the lines in with a paintbrush, and then I'm going to dot all of the other spaces because I feel like that'll give me a better impact and it'll keep the shape really obvious. I had a similar project a couple of weeks ago where I made a trinket tray with a Goalie mask in the center, and painting those lines in it really did make a difference. So we're going to do something along those lines tonight. I'm just not sure what. Okay, so let's get moving. I forgot to mention that this Goalie image is available for you as a free downloadable in the description of this video. So please go ahead and download that if you want to dot along with me, because that'll be a blast. So what we're going to do is flip this over. Hi there, Tony. Welcome. We are going to just figure out where our image is. I can actually see him really well through the paper. So I'm just going to focus on drawing with my chalk pencil over top of him, making sure that we cover him really, really well. Now, this is a chalk pencil that I got from, I think I got it from Michael's. I might have gotten it from Amazon. Frankly, they can be really interchangeable, those two places, in my opinion, when it comes to craft supplies. So if you ever hear me talking about picking something up at Michael's Canada, check Amazon or check one of your local craft stores in your whatever country you're living in, because I don't know them across the world, but I'm sure that they exist. We crafters are all around the globe. We are making it pretty. So yeah, this is a General's chalk pencil. Whatever chalk pencil you want, use it. But this is the best one I've found so far. It transfers really well. Okay, I feel like I've covered everything really well. I got a skate over here, base of the stick. This matters because once you start drawing or transferring over your image, you don't want to end up in a situation where you can't complete the transfer because you actually haven't put enough chalk on the spot. So, you know. Now, this is going to be kind of easy to center because we know what the image looks like and what we want it to be. And I want it to be in the center, but I can't do it with this monster paper because I don't have that kind of intelligence level. So I'm going to cut around my friend here now that we've colored him in chalk and just leave myself a little bit of a trim to hold down if needed. You don't need to do this if you don't want to. You could use it as it was. As long as you've covered it in chalk, it doesn't really matter. But for me, it's easier to place things if I have like close to the real shape in front of me. So let me get chalk all over my hand now. Poor Mary. Cry for me, everyone. Cry for me. This chalk on my hand. All right. This stick is where I am going to be very cautious because I'm on the fence if I want to paint it with a paintbrush, like just a straight brush and a straight line, or if I want to dot it, like just a whole bunch of dots in a line, which would also look cool, but I don't know. We're going to have to decide as we go along. Ooh, I almost cut his leg. Mary. Bro, I almost made you really struggle to hold up that stick. All right, we got it. All right, here we go. Oh, the chalk on my finger. I am brokenhearted. As always, when I am dot painting, I have the following things nearby: a damp cloth or two, a cup of water if I'm using paintbrushes, obviously a sharpener, always, a pair of scissors, toothpicks, and Q-tips, your BFFs for life for sure, okay? So these are the things I always have with me when I am dot painting, so I highly recommend that you have your own little stash of similar items. Now we're going to try to put him right in the middle. Let me have a look here. Of course, there are lots of things you could do to make sure you're doing this right. You could draw a line right down the center, give yourself a cross right down in the middle of that. That's your best bet. But I am a big fan of eyeballing things because I enjoy living on the edge. What do we think? I'm pretty happy with that placement. What do you guys think? Are we good? I think we're good. Okay. So once you've decided where you're going to place your image, your number one rule is put your not dominant hand on it and then don't move it again. Because if you move it again, you will regret it. I actually would like to use a pen for this. I'm going to use a pen instead of a pencil. So what I'm going to do is hold down the image, and I'm going to use my pen to outline it as detailed as I can. Now, keep in mind that when you're dot painting, you're not going to be super detailed. I mean, it's funny because with dots, you would think you'd be the most detailed you'd ever be in your whole life. And of course you will. But at a certain point, the dots can get a little confusing to the eye. So you try to simplify a little bit so that you don't lose the whole image because you're too busy putting a lot of dots on the canvas, you know? So we're going to find ways to do that. And part of that's going to be us drawing some of this in with a paintbrush as opposed to dotting everything, like dotting the trim of everything. So the way I transfer it over is also going to be a little wonky. I mean, I'm not perfect, first of all. I'm not great at all the things, but in addition to that, it's kind of hard to get a perfect transfer on chalk. It'll get close, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some confusion. So this mask is very detailed. So we're for sure going to be using a paintbrush for all of these lines. I'm hopeful that I can get this accomplished tonight. This is a bit of an intricate pattern. I try to not do intricate patterns for dot painting because, like I said, they can get a little confusing to the eye. You can kind of lose sight of what the actual image is because it's gotten a little too dotty. And usually these types of lines fall into that category. So we'll see. We might simplify the mask a little bit as well. I guess it's going to depend on how well this transfers over. Actually, that's something I should check right now. So I'm using medium pressure. You can see I'm using a pen so that I can see where I've already drawn. Oh, that's great. I can see really well. That's good. Okay, so we just have to have a little patience. It takes a little bit of time. And again, we want to make sure that we don't move the image if we can avoid it. I'm always so impressed with how well this method works, that the chalk transfers it that easily. It always blows me away because it's like, for someone who can't draw like me, it gives me the opportunity to draw so many things that are so cool that I would never be able to do on my own. Oh my God, if I tried to draw this freehand, I can't even imagine how horrible it would come out. Like a 5-year-old did it, who was wearing a blindfold. Okay, I already did the shoulder. That's good. Did I do this little nook? I can't tell. I should use a red pen. That would be easier. I found the hole. Oh my God, that scared the bejesus out of me. I don't know what I thought happened. Did I break my pen? Oh my God, that really freaked me out. You don't even know, guys. Oh my God, he totally has a belly button now. Oh, I'm sorry, bro. Like, your jersey should be covering that. Okay. That's awkward. Awkward. I barely even know him. I'm like touching his belly button. Oh my God, that's weird. Okay. So again, the image has a lot more detail that I'm intending to put in. I'm going to put in quite a lot. Like, I'm going to put in a lot of these lines. But there's like this double trim around the pad to make it look really cool. All right. I mean, if you want to, go for it. I might not. I have no idea. We'll see. But it's not, in my opinion, like make or break detail. So if you're finding that things are getting a little too complicated, simplify it. Just do less. Let's see how we're looking. Oh, that looks good. That's really good. Okay. Okay, wait, what did I miss? I haven't done his shoulder and his arm at all yet. So let's do that. Like, look at all the lines inside this glove. It's a lot of lines. I don't know if there's a point in putting all these lines in. It's probably going to look really messy and confusing. Oh, no, not at all, actually. That's great. What's missing on his glove? Okay, you need lines here. So you see every once in a while, I'm flipping up the image while holding it down with my left hand to make sure I don't accidentally move it. But I'm always checking back and forth that I've actually covered everything. I've actually transferred everything over that I need to transfer so that it's not kind of lost. Okay, I think we're pretty good here. I would just maybe draw this line in a little darker. Okay. All right, we've got this whole side of his body done. Why is there a line through there? I don't know, who cares? And we've got that. Okay, so just this leg. This leg is all that's left. Now, I don't really have his pants peeking out, but I will kind of want that to happen. So that's the other thing that we're going to do is make sure that we keep this image off to the side once we start dotting so that any kind of nuance that gets lost in the transfer, you can refer to the image to have a better sense of it. Although, mind you, I am like really doing a bad job tracing this. So my pen lines are going to make it a little confusing too, but that's okay. But like there's some detail here, like some ribbing on the pads that it's like, okay, chill out, bro. We're not going to be able to show ribbing. But we can do some of these soft lines, right? That's actually why I have this silver, but I don't know if I want to do silver for that. I might do a really light gray. Oh, I don't want a bump there. I have a light gray off to the side, plus I have some black and white waiting. I'm using all acrylic paint from my local dollar store tonight, as I always do. It's usually how I roll. You don't need fancy paint to dot paint. I mean, you can use fancy paint to dot paint. There's lots of people who do. They are people who make more money than I do. Oh, come on. I kind of made that a little crooked, but that's okay. I was saying to my husband, I feel like this stick should have been a little thicker. He disagreed. He said it was fine. But I'm like, what do you know? You're just a goalie. Okay. Did I do the whole stick? I think I did. All right, let's have a look. I haven't done skates yet. That's for sure. Oh, he doesn't have any pants on. It looks like he's got no pants. That's not good. Okay, we're going to fix his pants, and he needs some skates. And Maybe a little bit around the stick over here. Okay, you need like pants. I'm going to try to draw actual pants in after because I think it's important. Because you can see the pants around the hockey pads usually. Okay. Nice simple skate. I tried to keep this really not crazy detailed, like enough that you know what it is, but not that it's like laces and this and that. Like I didn't want it to be that hard and complicated because then it makes it harder to transfer it. Makes it harder to interpret it so that you can make it look good as a dot painting, but at the same time, you want people to look at it and know what it is. You know what I mean? Whether they love it or hate it, whether your dots are messy or not, you want them to look at it and go, oh yeah, that's a goalie. Okay, I think we're doing good. I got to make sure now because if I move my finger, it's a done deal. Again, this little spot needs to be connected. That's white. That's black. Okay, I think we're in good shape. I am. Ooh, I always hate this moment. Do I let go? Do I not let go? Oh, you see, I almost forgot something. He has a little design on his helmet that I almost didn't transfer over, and I would have been very displeased with me. There is also like a boning. Yeah, now you can see that much better. Okay. We've done our best. It's time to start. So I'm going to keep this off to the side. We're already about 25 minutes in, or just about. And all we've done is transferred the image. So you'll understand what I mean by you need to do this project over a period of sessions. So first of all, you're going to want to paint your base paint, whatever color you want, whatever blows your hair back. However, it's very important that you let it dry very well and then add a coat of varnish over top. It doesn't matter what varnish you use whatever makes your heart happy, but make sure you do put a layer of varnish. This is going to be really, really helpful if we make a mistake and need to try to erase something, meaning wipe the paint off. It'll be really helpful for us to have this coat protecting our base coat of paint. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start with all of my straight brush strokes. So anything paintbrush related. I'm going to be using this liner brush that has this massively long plume of brush, I guess. I just dipped it in a little bit of water just to straighten these out a bit. And we are going to start with, let's make some decisions here because I only want to put one of these out. Okay, let's decide what's going to be a line and what's going to be a dot. I think the entire jersey is going to be outlined in dots. So's the glove. What do we want to do about the blockers? The blocker is going to need lines, I think. So if I do lines all the way around the blockers, I guess I should do it around, well, I mean the leg pads and then around the blocker and then around the catcher. But then the rest of these we're going to just dot in. And then the skates will just do dotted. I don't know what to do about the stick yet. All of these lines on the jersey I'm going to paint. Not the black though. The black, anywhere you see black, we're going to dot that. The white is where we're going to really focus our lines, I think. So with that in mind, maybe what we should start doing is We should start drawing in our lines first, I guess. I don't know. I've never done a shape like this before. I've literally never done this kind of project before. So we're doing this together for the first time. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Well, actually, shouldn't I outline the pads in black? I have another one that I didn't write on. Thank God. Okay. So the pads are kind of outlined in like a light gray, I guess, to differentiate them. We're just going to outline them in white. So that is going to be black. This is going to be white, and it's the pad. Okay. So now this line is black, but we want it to be dotted black, I said, right? No, I can't do that. If I dot it black, it's going to be messy. Okay, so I'm gonna actually do that black line solid, and then we'll do, oh, that's right, the pads are gonna be white. So just the trim of the pad. Oh. I struggle with drawing or painting straight lines. I've been doing a lot better with it ever since I started using this liner brush, but it's definitely something I'm practicing. This is the line here. So I'm trying to make sure that I have a lot of lines in the projects I'm working on these days so I can practice. Not bad. Me gusta. Okay, I'm going to leave. That's interesting because now this stick is black and it cuts through that black line. How am I going to make that noticeable? I might have to trim. Okay, wait, let me think. If I make this trimmed out in black, but then I fill it with dots, and then I fill that as a solid black line, that'll resolve that issue. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I think I'm going to do the blocker next. So all these trims of black on the blocker here, I'm not going to do that, I don't think. Well, I have it here. So what would that be? Black here, and then the black line, and then what? I would trim it out in black. But I don't really want to trim it out in black. Let me think about that. Because the pads are the ones with the black trim. Sorry, the leg pads don't have any black trim. Only the blocker does. You know what? Maybe I'll make this a solid black line. I'll make this a skinny black line. And then I'm going to fill this in. But that's supposed to be dotted white in here. So I'm just going to trim the outside of this in white. Right? Yeah. And we're filling in white with white dots. Okay. So now this part is also going to be white. So are you. I made that a little squiggly. I didn't make it any better. Okay, so we're going to fill that part in. That's going to be a black line. So then what's this corner going to have a black line into the corner? And then I can fix that in after once the black's in. Okay, right? Yeah, you're good. Next, we're going to do this line. I still haven't decided. I said I was going to outline the stick and then fill it in with dots down here. That makes sense. But up here, I don't know if I want to do that or if I wanted to make it a solid stick. I think I might make it a solid stick. I don't know why, but I feel like I want to do that. I'm just going to clean my brush a little. I'm going to leave it for now. I'll decide later, but I'm leaning towards making the top of it solid black. So that's the line on the jersey. Okay. Then we got this line is white. Good. Any more white over here? We have this line, but let's do the V around the neck next. This mask is making me highly uncomfortable. I don't know where we got this line from, the center. I'm not happy about it. That should go all the way around like that. Good. All right, what are we going to do about this cage? Are we going to make it white or are we going to make it silver? Ooh, that's a really good question. I kind of want to do it silver to differentiate it from the stripes on the... Yeah, but it wouldn't be silver. It would be white. I'm thinking it would be white. It wouldn't be silver. Shoot, I should have asked my husband what he liked. I think I'll do it in white, but I'm going to do it really thin as I can. So like, for example, this trim out of the bottom of the mask is going to stay black. I'm not going to touch it. So no line with that. That's going to be with my... Oh, Mary, I touched my line. And I ruined it. Mary. Maria. Okay. Okay, what was I saying? I'm going to trim the bottom part in dots with black. And I guess we would do the same with the top. I just don't know how I'd show that design. That's going to be weird. I think I might have to do like a light gray or something to show that design. Or I could draw that with black and then just dot it in. Okay, let me think on it. Let me do the mask first, which is going to be not easy. So let's try. I want to do this as thin as possible. Let's see, where do we go next? Let's go this way. Okay. Then we've got well, that was a miracle. That almost went perfect. I lost a little control at the end here. Okay. Then we need to go across this way. Okay. What's next? Let's do this half circle. Not bad. Okay. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's not bad. So now we got to do this one. Okay. I'm missing one more. There's one big long one. You guys don't even know how stressed out I am about this right now. This is very importante. Okay. Now we got to go. I mean, it could have gone better, but it's not the worst thing in the world. There's like a hook over here I did. Oh, that's not bad. I kind of straightened it out. Okay, am I missing any other lines? So we did this one, that one. Oh, this one? I guess there's two square ones on the side. And then there's nothing here, right? There's just this one and that one. I think that's it. I just got to do these ones along the side and then we're done. Until I do the top. Good. All right. Let's keep going. So now we should go across this way. So this line is here. And is this white too? Yeah. Wait. This top line is white. So let's do that one first because we know for sure it's white. I might have to come back and do another pass on this. Just to make sure we don't get any of that blue poking through. Oh, am I like pulling it off now? Pardon. All right. That came out thicker than I had planned, actually. So I think I'm going to try. Well, it should have been that thick. Maybe I just drew it too thick when I crossed it over. My line here was right, but here you can see that it was thinner. So I'm going to just do a line here. And then it would be about here. Okay. I think that's fine. Can always come back and adjust it later. It looks silly now because it looks like it's hanging in space, but once I draw in the pad, it'll make more sense to the eye. Okay. So I'm sure you can notice that I'm working from left to right because I'm right-handed and I'm lazy. And I also have carpal tunnel, so my hands are very weak. So I like to rest my hand on my work surface as much as possible, which can be problematic when you're doing something like this. So starting left to right is like the best bet right now. So let's do this one real quick. Okay, and then this. Okay, let me think because, well, no, either way, I got to do this one. I was trying to decide what I'm going to do about the blockers. I think I talked about this before, but I don't remember what I decided. Okay. I think I said I was going to outline it in white. No, I don't think I actually talked about this one yet. Okay, let me think. Actually, I'm going to come back to you last. Let's do the leg, and then we'll come back to you and figure it out. Look at how I'm destroying this skate. It's going to be a heck of a fun time trying to figure it out later. I did that so crooked. That's a bit better. Oh, I didn't mean to do that little wing. Oh, damn Q-tips. How much I love thee. Okay, where is that line? So that's black. So it's here. Not too bad. All right. All right. That's good. Okay, so now this is going to be black, this piece here. I'm going to do that with dots. So I guess I got to fill in the like this part, yeah. And then that line in the center is going to be black. So that little bit in the middle. Okay. Now what? They have this trimmed in black, but filled in white. That's going to be interesting. So how do I do that? Should I put... Okay, wait, this is going to be dotted black. This is going to be dotted white. And then should I put these white lines or should I put them as black lines? Okay, wait, so I said this is going to be white. And that's going to be black. So I'll probably... I think I might do it white. I might have to do black in between afterwards. Let's try doing it white. Let's see what we think of it. If I hate it, I can always let it dry and then go over it in black afterwards. All right. We're doing pretty good. This thick line, though, they show it as a black one and a white one, so I'm torn. So I'm going to do it white for now. But I don't think I want to do it thick. I might leave it so that I could do it. Okay. Here's where we got to have a little patience. Doesn't have to be the line that I drew. It just has to be a line that makes sense. That looks great. I'm happy with that. Okay. I think we've done what we need to do with white for now. Let's go ahead and switch to black. And then we're going to move on to dotting. So you'll notice I only put a little bit of paint in my palette as I go. Unless you're dotting a really big dot, you really don't need a lot of paint to dot paint. Okay, let's think what we need to do next. I think I'm going to outline the top in black, and I'm going to do that little spider webby thing with a thin black line. Then we'll leave it to dry and we'll fill it in. Why am I starting there? Well, because everything's wet now. So wherever I place my hand, it's going to be questionable. Well, I had a little spaz there. Oops. Got a little bit on my white. That's okay. So I want to start the spider web like in the center here. So we'll try to make it light. That should be about the same. Yeah, that's good. Oh, I made these totally different. I'm going to have to try to fix that. I don't know what I did to this one. I went crazy. Let's see. Okay, let's see if I can fix that. I don't know what I did. I went a little crazy. There we go. That'll do. Got to remember that we've got chalk pencil lines underneath all of these things too. So I am going to be removing the chalk pencil lines later once this whole thing is really dry. And we might have to make some adjustments because of that. Okay, so the edge of the... It's not too bad. I would have liked it to have more of a wiggle in here, but I'm not going to mess with it. I think I'm going to leave it, and we'll just fill it in with some dots. Okay. Now, what do we want to do next? Should we do the line through the pad next? I think so. Everything else is going to be filled in with the dominant color. So this is all going to be filled in black next. I actually need to do the stick as well. I'm not sure what I want to do about the stick. You're not really supposed to use this kind of paintbrush to fill in these lines. This is a liner brush. To keep it sharp enough for lines, you shouldn't waste it on stuff like this. So word to the wise. think what I'm going to do for the stick is I'm going to outline it in black. I'll do the line black there. But then I'm going to just outline the outside of the stick here. And we'll fill it in with dots, I think. So should I just do that right now? Let me at least do the stick right now. Okay, that's not so bad. Okay, and then over here is the tip of the stick. I'm going to leave that because the rest is going to be white, I think. I'm not really sure how I'm going to deal with that yet. So let's just attach these together. Okay. So we're going to do that filled in with dots. I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch this because I'll do that with dots as well. So just the line. And then we'll do the stick, the top of the stick. I have a hard time at the end because my brush wants to flick, and that is problematic. I have to practice that. I'm not good at it. Okay. Beautiful. What are we missing? Just the blocker now. That I said, am I going to do a little trim here? I think we said yes to that, right? To a little thin black trim. That's good. That's the perfect amount. All right, now I got to be careful where I place my hand. Okay, what do I do there? So this was supposed to do, this is supposed to be a thin black line. Why didn't I turn this before? Mary, get it together. Would have been so much easier to do this line if I turned it before. Okay, so now I want to do a thin black line. Let me clean off my brush for a second. I want to do one skinny little line. Ooh, that went very well. Good. All right, let's have a quick look here. What do we have? Oh, the stick. You're next, pal. I want to try to make it as straight as possible. But I'm not really good at making straight lines, which I think I mentioned earlier. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, let's see. How does that look? That's great. Put a little white dot on top to make the nubbin at the top of the stick over here. We'll do that at the end. I think we're done all of our outlines. I think we can start dotting. The skates I'm going to try to do fully dotted. Oh, maybe the stick I should still do with the white. Yeah, let's do that really quick. And then I'm going to put my liner brush away and bust out my dotting tools. Now, if you don't have dotting tools, you don't need them. You can use things from around the house. Things like the top of this paintbrush would give you some good dots. I got paint all over my hands. Toothpicks, the top of a shish kebab skewer, the top of a pencil, a pen, an eraser. You'd be surprised. You can make dots out of a lot of things. Beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to do basically, we're going to do little lines. Little lines. Trying to make them super skinny. Because this is supposed to be the tape wrapping. That came out sick. I just need one more over there on the end here. Beauty. Beautiful. All right. I say we get started. Where do you want to start? Should we start on his jersey? Let's start on the jersey. I don't think I'm going to need my brush anymore, but we'll keep you just in cases. So what we're going to do is we're going to dot around the edges of the jersey. I'm not going to use, I normally use this really small one, which I would compare to like a toothpick, but I don't have the patience for that. We're already an hour in and I would like to keep this moving. So I'm going to actually use a bit of a bigger dot, but first Mary needs a little bit of water. So give me a sec. Always remember to hydrate, friends. Okay, so instead we're going to be using the size up from that, which is a 1 millimeter. This means it's going to be a bit of a thicker dot that we're going to be using because we want to keep it moving. Keep it moving. So this is black. So you can see that I'm going back and forth to my paint palette between each dot that I lay down. This is because I want my dots to be even in size or as close to it as possible. And the way you're going to go about that is making sure that you have an even amount of paint on your dotting tool, if possible. And you're going to try to place the same amount of pressure on your dotting tool when you're placing your dot for each dot if you can. That's going to make a difference in terms of how much real estate your dotting tool is touching. That worked out really well. Okay, so now we have a question. Do we outline this whole edge in the small dots? I think I might want to, actually. I think it'll look better. We'll see once we fill in the shoulders. Right now, this chalk line peeking through the black dots can be really deceiving to your eyes. Your brain will fill in a lot of gaps because of it. So it's something that I mention in all of my dot painting videos, is to always make sure when you are removing your chalk lines that you have your dotting tools handy, because you're probably going to need to fill some stuff in. Yeah, I think I do want to put it all the way around each piece. I feel like it'll outline it a little bit better. I need a little more paint in here. You really don't need much paint when you're dot painting, as I said earlier, unless you're doing a really large dot. So you're using a very big dotting tool. So you're going to need that available paint. But when you're doing small sections like this, you really don't have to. Now, as I'm getting into this corner here, I'm going to start walking the dots, which means I am not refilling my dotting tool. Something just fell over here around me. What happened here? I don't know. Something happened out of my, oh, it's a bug. Oh my God, freaked me out. It's like a fruit fly or something. Oh my God, it freaked me out. Sorry, guys. Because I'm down here by myself and it is quiet as a little library. So all of a sudden I see something out of the corner of my eye in movement. And I know it's not my husband because I can hear him ruckusing upstairs. All right, good. Now remember, we wanted to fill this whole section with black. I'm going to do that with a thicker black dot. So I'm going to leave that alone for right now. But I am going to trim it out. Oh, this fly is going to tick me off. Okay, where do I want to start? I think I'll start here. You know what? It's a fruit fly. And fruit flies always circle your face because they can smell your breath, which apparently smells delicious to them. I mean, I don't blame you. I had a really nice dinner tonight, so. So I'm trying not to touch my white line, of course, but I am trying to butt up against it as close as possible. Now, one of the biggest things you need to learn as a dot painter is how to space out your dots. That's why projects like this can be a lot of fun, because there's a lot of outlining. And that outlining can be a really good practice for you in terms of how do you get those dots close to each other without touching them. And since I don't have the patience to do practice materials like practice papers and stuff, I prefer making projects to practice stuff. So this is a great way to practice your spacing. Leave lots of space. Who cares? Leave it until you start to say, oh, that's really a lot of space. I wonder if I could get it a little closer. And then the next time, try to go a little closer. See what you do. There will come a point where you just naturally start getting a little closer with each of your dots. There are some dot painting artists that are able to literally put their dots side by side and nothing happens. No blob dots, no issues, no streaks. I bet they can fly too. No shade. Seriously, there are some amazing, amazing dot painting artists online. I learned from quite a few of them myself, but I decided I didn't want to go to that extreme. I wanted to just enjoy dot painting. So I didn't put that kind of pressure on myself about being so perfect and getting dots super duper close. And I have to master the perfect swoosh and all of that. It's totally not a big deal. You can totally have fun without it being so deep, you know? Okay, so this is also going to be dotted black. Okay, let's do around his neck and shoulder. Oh, no, there's still this over here. Oh, chill. Once we're done trimming it out, then we are going to fill it in with a bunch of different sized dots. This is fun, and it can be a little tedious when we start doing the passes. And what I mean by that is I'll do like my first pass, which is bigger dots. That part's fun. But then as you start to like get into tighter and tighter spots and you need to use smaller and smaller dots, that can get a little tedious, but it's also incredibly satisfying because it really does fill everything in for you. Okay, so we did the outline. Let's do around his neck. Now you might notice over time, even if you're going back and forth to your paint palette to fill the paint on your dotting tool, you might notice that your dots are starting to get a little bit bigger, but you're not doing anything different. And the reason that's happening is because you've probably got some paint built up on your dotting tool. And that's, of course, going to start, you know, making it thicker and thicker of a dot as you go. So keep that in mind. It's the other reason why I always have that wet or damp cloth to my side, because I dry off or wipe off all of my dotting tools from time to time, especially when I start to notice that my dots are getting thicker, which is what I'm noticing right now. That's why I'm talking about it. So I'm going to leave all of these to be that bit of a thicker dot because I don't mind it. But then I'm going to wipe off my tool as soon as I'm done this and we move on to the next section. Okay. We've trimmed out that whole thing. So now, do I want to put a little line in there? Because you know how he has like this little definition in the helmet? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. We'll see. Okay, let's start filling that in a little bit, and then we'll continue the trim out. Actually, I only have a little bit more to trim out, so let's just do that. We're just going to do out here as his pant leg, remember? Right in between the center of his legs, and up in here needs to be black as well. Oh, that was supposed to be white. That's okay. Okay, we're going to continue. I'm not making this huge. We just want it to be like a peak of his pant leg, but I'm not making my dots super small either. I'm making sure I'm getting a lot of dark or a lot of paint on my dotting tool. Had a little spaz there. I almost touched the other dot. Is that good? Maybe one more. Okay, so those are his pants. And then all the way around here is also. I think for these, I'm going to use bigger dots though, and just taper down. So let's go ahead and switch out this dotting tool. I'm going to go up to a 2.0, which is a significantly larger. We'll get a larger dot out of this. And we're going to go a couple, and then we'll walk the dots. One more. There we go. They also show it a little bit here, but I don't think I'm going to do that. They do it here, so let's fill this one in. We have to have a black dot right there. And then we're going to go, I I think I'm going to go pretty much to the end there. So we'll do these a bit on the thicker side. All I'm really trying to do is make sure I don't touch my white line if I can avoid it. If we have to, we can always go back later and tidy up the lines if they get a little messed up. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Okay, I'm going to start walking the dots after one more dot, and then I'll start right here. Okay, good. Let's see. What else? What else? What else? What else do we want to do here? Should we do... No, we'll do the skates last. Let's fill in the black dots in here. So these ones are going to be bigger because we really want to show the black in this area. So I think I'm going to stick with this dotting tool, though. I'm just going to make sure I'm taking a lot of paint on my dotting tool. And then we're going to try to just, anywhere we're seeing blue, we're going to go in and put a black dot there. Because you're not supposed to be blue. Oops, I just touched one of my lines. See? That's too bad. Okay. I feel like this one might be too big for this. Yeah, I'm going to be over my white line a bit. I don't like that. Okay, hold on. Let's switch this over. I'm going to flip my dotting tool over to the other side. All of these dotting tools, I think, have the same other side, which is a 1.25, I believe. One more, we're going to walk the dots. There we go. It's kind of hard to see. I wonder if I should fill this in with just paint instead of doing dots here. We'll see. When I'm done, so tomorrow I'm going to wipe all of these chalk lines off. And I might find something else that I want to do or adjust. And if that happens, then I will. It's not the end of the world. Nothing is set in stone. I mean, unless you're giving this away to someone, in which case you're going to want to make sure you're finalized before you do that. But otherwise, you know what? Tomorrow's another day. I'm going to wipe all these chalk lines away. And then we'll have another good look at it and see if I want to fill anything else in or make any changes. I totally missed this blocker. I don't know how I forgot about you, guy. I forgot about you, guy. So this is a big block. And down here, but this is outline. Yeah, I think in those sections that are supposed to be like black stripes, instead of doing a bunch of little black dots, we're going to do big dots to fill those sections. And not with something like this. This is like going to be all a bunch of little dots in here. There's not going to be any other way. Okay. So let's take the big dot. We're going to start filling in the top now that we've outlined everything. And we'll start with the biggest dot, or the biggest dotting tool I have in this stylus form, which is the 3mm. And we're going to be doing this in like a dot, dot, dot kind of way, meaning I'm not refilling between each dot, because we want them to gradually decrease in size. So dot, 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 dot. Oh, I got a little drag line between those. Yeah, this whole thing is going to have to come up. Anytime you're trying to bring paint up, you're going to try to do, first of all, always use a damp Q-tip if possible. Damp is much preferred over dry. And you want to do a twisting motion. Okay. You go ahead and dry, bro. We'll be back. So that means that this paint has a bit of a drag to it. It pulls the tail across from one dot to another. So I got to make sure to really lift my dotting tool so that I don't have the same problem happen. And then you just start putting a dot wherever you think it'll fit. This is another great way to practice what to do if you place your dots too close and they blend into each other. I call that a blob dot. It happens to me, I would say frequently enough. Most of the time I just embrace it unless it's really obvious and looks bad. Then I'll just try to make repairs with my Q-tip if possible. But if not possible, another great way to handle it is to get a bigger dotting tool and dot over top of it with a bigger dot. Okay, I feel like I got to be careful because I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start touching things I don't want to touch. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And then we're going to come back and fill in the gaps in between those dots. So let's go and let's fill in the spots we know need to stay filled in. So this is supposed to be a black line all the way across. So I'm going to just make big 3mm black dots in there. And if they overlap my white line a little bit, that's okay. Okay. And in here, can only fit one of those in there. So I'll come back with my little daughters later. Now, up here is black as well. So let's go ahead and fill that in. That's all we're going to be able to do with that. That is white. That is black, but this is black. So this gets big 3mm dots. Good. Now we're just going to fill in this section. This dotting tool is way too big for that though. So let's grab, yeah, this might fit. This is the 2mm. I'm not going to put a ton of paint. The thing to consider when you're doing this type of dot painting is that it's not about any one individual dot. It's about how they all work together to make the image what it is. So if they overlap each other a bit or they blend a little bit, it really is not the end of the world. You're not going to notice it. Okay, I think we've done all of the black. Oh, we got to fill in the stick. Should I start with the big one? Yeah, I think so. The stick needs to be filled in. Okay, we're going to leave that like that. Should we do the skate now? I feel like I'm literally going to do the skates at the very, very end, so let's not bother. I'm going to give that a chance to fill in a little bit. Oh, you know what we didn't do is the mask. Let's just do the bottom part of the mask a bit as well. I said I wanted to do those little lines, didn't I? Let's use this. Just to kind of put like this fake seam in place. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and fill in. All right. Let's pause on black. We're going to move back to white, and we'll do the pads and the catcher and the blocker before we go back and fill in some more black dots on the jersey. Grab another sip of water. All right. Let's do the pads first. I want to make sure that that black line really stays in place. Okay, now that section's small, and so is that one. So I'm not going to try to do that with this because that'll end badly. Let's flip it over. I'm going to use the other side, which is the 1.25 side. No, that's still too big for that, but it should be fine for this. Yeah. I think that's probably all that we're going to do with that side. I'm probably not going to fill it in more. Let's get these little guys. Oh, you still have paint on you. That's a no good. We're going to try to fill in here around that really skinny black line. Okay, we'll come back in after and fill in more of this. Actually, I could fill in some of it now. There's enough room. I normally try to let my first round of dots dry a little bit before coming in to do these like fill-in dots. This kind of helps in case you do make a mistake and you touch one of the dots that you already made. It's the difference between dotting over it or overlapping it versus it turning into a big nasty blob. Okay, we'll come back for the rest of those. That's pretty good. Already it looks pretty good. It'll look even better once we start filling it in. Okay, next we're going to fill in, let's do the catcher. I'm going to flip it over and use the bigger dots for certain spots. But this is a pretty small area. So we'll come back and continue the fill in after. Anything else on the top that needs white? No, right? I'm not filling in the mask. We're going to fill in the helmet, but that's with black. So the white, now we're going to do the pads a little bit more. Okay, so let's do that. So since we've got all this room, I think we're going to use these big So I walk the dots down there because the bottom of the pads curve in. And I'm trying to not overlap this big black stripe if I can avoid it. It still brings the point forward that this is white. That's good. Okay, now the rest of this section, if I don't kill this fruit fly, it's going to kill me. I just hit the table because of it again. Okay, I think we're going to leave that and come back. Let's do the same thing on this side. That was close. Beautiful. All right. Now let's do some dilly dally. You could use a little bit more paint. As time goes on and your paint gets more and more dry, it's probably going to be a little bit easier and easier to fill your paint palette because you'll need it. I'll put a big one there. Awesome. All right. I think I'd say we have all of our preliminary dots in place. The only thing we haven't done yet is the helmet and the skates. The skates are going to take like 30 seconds to do, so I think we'll do those last. Let's go ahead and do the helmet a little bit. Just that top bit. And then we'll go start doing some fill-ins on this jersey. I'm just putting a bunch of little dots in here. No rhyme or reason. Just anywhere I see blue, I'm going to put a little bit of black. Okay, good. Now let's start filling in a little bit. So some of these dots are still kind of on the fresh side. So we're going to be cautious. And this is where we're really trying to almost make a blanket of dots in the section that is the right color, so that when you look at it, it'll give you the impression that that whole section is black. Even though you can see the blue from the background coming through, these extra dots are going to help give that illusion. By filling in the color a bit. The other thing that's really cool about this is the amount of texture that all of these different dots kind of make. Obviously, visually, you can see the difference in size, and that makes it more interesting. But just texture-wise, if you touch it with your fingers, it's amazing how it feels. It's so different. That's something I've always loved about dot painting. Actually, I remember that happened a lot when I was doing craft shows, that I'd have people come over to my table and they'd like pick up an art stone and touch it and be like, oh, you can actually feel it. I'm like, yeah, man, that's paint, yo. Of course you can feel it. Because, you know, people are used to things being mass produced and being copied and photocopied and, you know, I don't know, printed onto stuff. So when something's handmade and you get the real texture and the real depth and all of that, it's always a little surprising to people, you know? Oh, man. This world is really changing a lot. Oh, I just dotted over a dot. I don't particularly care, so I'm going to leave it alone. But if it's something that bothers you, you can either try to wipe it up with a Q-tip, which would be pretty gosh darn hard with all these dots in place now. Or you could get a bigger dotting tool and dot over top of it so that it doesn't look like they're blended together. But I don't have any problem with the way it looks, so I'm going to leave it alone. I normally do a couple of passes, meaning I'll let this dry and then I might come back to it again later and put in a few more dots, and I may. But as it stands right now, I'm looking at it and I don't really see the need for another pass. I feel like we've done a good job covering this. Okay, let's get in here a little bit. Okay, there's not really much we can do for his pants. And in here, I feel like we've done what can be done. Oh, I forgot about this line. Let's see, what size should you be? Probably the top would be good enough, the 125. Yeah, that's perfect. Did I just touch them? Yeah, I did. Oh my God. Made a huge blob dot. Okay, that definitely needs to go. So again, we're just going to twist and pull up. I am running low on Q-tips over here. Oh, I got some on that. That sucks. Okay, I might have to repaint that line. Oh, well. I'm actually surprised I haven't had to repeat or repaint much of anything yet. One more, and we're going to walk the rest. Very good. Okay, so let's fill in the top of that catcher. Okay. What else? What else we want to fill in? Well, the stick. We can fill in the stick, and then we're going to switch to white, and we're almost done, guys. All right. Wait, oh, I didn't even notice I got these on here, these little dots of white. I wonder if I can get them off. This is exactly the reason why I mentioned varnishing it earlier, because of moments where you don't notice you've made a mistake and you want to go back and fix it. This would be peeling off my paint right now. All of that blue paint would be on my Q-tip. But because I varnished it, the only paint that's coming off is the paint I want to come off. Awesome. Much better. I might have to touch up a few spots. So something that I have a tendency to forget about while I'm dotting is paying attention to where things are getting splattered. And it does happen. Okay, so let's see. What's next? Let's fill in these pads. We'll do the top first. Well, I got a black splatter in my white paint. Well, that's not good. Now, is it? Okay. Beautiful. Nice and full. Full of all the dots. All of the dots. I don't think I'm going to put any more on the edges here. I think I like just having these big dots. I could put little dots in between, but I don't think I'm going to. I kind of like the way that looks. Let's do this side. And same with this. I could put another little dot in between each one if I really wanted to. So, I mean, if that's your cup of tea, go for it. I think I'm going to leave it. I'm liking the way that this blue is peeking through. And it's actually one of the colors of the palette that is ignored. When you think about your background color, you just think about the color that's in the background. You don't think about the fact that it's part of your palette, but it is. And I wanted to use colors that would be close to the Toronto Maple Leaf colors, which is why we have this royal blue. But to not put myself in a liability position, I didn't want to put anything actually with Leaf logos on anything. So what do you think of when you see certain colors? If you're a sports fan, you're going to think of your team. So that's all we really needed for something like this, making sure that that blue is dominant part of the palette, which we did with the background. So I'm making sure that you can still see some of it. It's not just the background. It's part of the whole image, you know? I try not to dot in a straight line when I'm doing these fill-ins because I feel like it's so noticeable because it's so random that when you see a few things in a row, it's just like glaringly obvious. So I try to make sure I stay really random. Okay. I think that one's good. All right. That pad is done. Look at the difference between them. It's a big difference, right? Filling in makes a difference, in my opinion. Another little sip of water, and we'll move on to the next pad. All right, let's see. And then once we're done this pad, I'm going to put the little grip on the top of the stick. We'll put in our 2 skates. And I'm going to consider this done until tomorrow when I start erasing my chalk lines and see if there's anything else that needs to be kind of repaired or... I need a little bit more paint in my palette. I'm scraping the bottom when I touch it. No, that's not a good spot. And doing this kind of fill-in is also really helpful in teaching you how to get, realistic about when you can fit a dot in a space. That was probably the hardest lesson I've had to learn as a dot painting artist is that you might think you're going to fit a dot there, but you won't because you forget about the paint. Like you might think, oh, my dotting tool is totally going to fit there. Yeah, maybe. But then by the time the paint spreads out, you've overlapped something. So this kind of practice to me is invaluable because you're literally just going, can I fit a dot in there? I don't know. Can I fit a dot in there? I don't know. And you're just kind of like dancing around and trying to figure it out. It's a great way to, get yourself used to how do you make it fit? Is it going to fit? And all that jazz. I have a blob dot in here, but that's okay. I think we're done. I'm not filling those in. Okay, I think we're good. Let's get onto our skates. I'm torn if I want to paint them in. Maybe I'll paint the black part of the skate in, and then I'll dot the blade. I think that sounds like a good idea. Where did I do my paintbrush? Here you are. Because then it still kind of ties it all together. I really need to get magnifying glasses. My eyesight is that of a woman in her 40s. Okay, that's good. This one's more like scoot, scoot, scoot. You need to scoot out of here. It's more like that. Yeah, I like that. That's good. It's just the toe of the skate, right? Yeah, that's good. So we're going to use a tiny bit of silver for the blades. Solo poquito. And am I going to make them big or small? I think I'm going to make them big, and I'm going to taper out. So I'm going to do it like a 1, 2, and then that way I think we'll do. This might be too big. We'll see. 1, 2. Oh, that's good. I like that. I put like next to nothing of. Okay. 1, 2, and then this way. Good. Beautiful. We got our skates done. So we've got literally 1 dot left. So before we do that final dot, let's have a quick run through of this because this is a clock, right? So we're not done, but we're done, if that makes sense. We're done the dot painting portion of the project, but there is much to still be done. So first of all, in terms of the dot painting portion, tomorrow I am going to let this dry all night, and then tomorrow morning or at some point tomorrow, I'm going to get a pencil eraser and I am going to erase all of my chalk lines. Now, you don't have to use a pencil eraser. You can use a damp Q-tip. I've also seen some creators who use baby wipes to much success. I never have. The only thing that I found successful is a regular, just a pencil eraser, nothing fancy. That has been useful to me over the years. So that's what I am going to use, but you do what works for you. But we're going to make sure that we get all of these chalk lines out. That's very, very important. Once all the chalk lines are off, you'll be able to see if there's any gaps in your outline or anything else, in which case you can fill that in, okay? After that, you're going to let this get fully dry. So if you had to put in 5 or 6 dots, if they're really small dots, you're fine. But if they're bigger dots, make sure you let them dry really, really well. And then you're going to do a coat of varnish over top, at least one thin coat. This is the varnish that I use all the time. It is my preference. It's nothing fancy. It's just a varnish. You can use any varnish you want. It does not have to be this one, okay? But do make sure that you use a varnish to seal your work. But never, ever varnish something until you remove your chalk lines, because if you don't, the chalk lines will be permanently in your project, okay? You cannot take them off once you've sealed it. So definitely remember that. Now, today I did show you at the beginning of this tutorial that I picked up some numbers from Michael's Canada, who usually do not let me down. But today, what did they do in the bed? Well, they didn't sleep in the bed. They did something stinky in the bed. They sure did. And these numbers are no bueno. I don't like them. They're very not cool. But I want to see what it's going to look like. Now, I can't put the mechanism back in because obviously this guy's still wet. So we can't do that right now, unfortunately. But at least we can have a look at what it's going to look like with the numbers on. Now, I would be using probably Gorilla Glue to glue these down. You can already see why I hate these numbers, right? Look at this 2. What is this? Huh? Why isn't it longer? Like, okay. I'm going to try to stay calm because when I realized this, I was so mad. I don't know if that's a 6 or a 9, but we'll see. That's definitely a 3. They look the same to me. Oh, I think you might be a 9. Yeah, look at this 3. Look how much fatter this 3 is. It's been eating some pasta. Okay, now, if it was up to me, first of all, different numbers, because I hate these numbers. I can't say that enough. I would actually probably not put in the 1 and 2 or whatever. I'd put like little slats instead. I feel like it would be less crowded, but I do have them. So let's do it anyway, just because it'll look cool. So these are just wood numbers. They're very light. A little bit of Gorilla Glue would do very well. Probably even some hot glue if you prefer. Well, these are really not. This is probably the hardest part, in my opinion, is lining up your numbers so that they look right. Hey, guys, let's not talk about this number 7, okay? Let's just not talk about it, or how it's so completely different from this number 8. Like they're from different groups, but they're not. I bought them in the same box. She said, bitterly, bitterly. Okay, so now we got 10. Oh my God, we forgot to do the last dot. Guys, we forgot to do the last dot. I just barely remembered. We're going to do it right now. After we put the number 11 in. All right, what do you think? I think we're missing the handle. We're missing the top of our, this needs to be white. We're going to use the biggest dotting tool we have. Okay. 1 dot. This is the literal final dot for this project. Are you ready? Thanks, Tony. I'm glad you like it. Here we go. Final dot, BDB. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. All right. Are you ready for the final reveal? Ladies and gentlemen, we made ourselves a goalie clock. Why, yes, we did. That came out great. I love it. If it wasn't for these numbers that I want to vomit on, I'm super thrilled. I think this came out really great. I'm pretty sure my husband's going to like it. And if you're doing this for a Father's Day project, hopefully your father's a hockey fan and he'll like it as well. I'm going to add this mechanism back in there tomorrow so that we don't damage what we've done so far. And again, a reminder to seal this with a coat of varnish before you do anything else. Actually, no, that's a lie. Remove your chalk lines and then seal it with a coat of varnish. Very important. Never leave your chalk lines in when you varnish or you'll hate me. No, you won't. You shouldn't hate me. I just told you not to do it. Hate yourself. You didn't listen. Okay? That's what happened. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed making this with me. I had a blast making it with you. We're going to be back here every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time dot painting, except for next week. I burned you. No, I'm lying. We are going to be here next week as well. So join me next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to do another beginner-friendly dot painting project like this one. Actually, we'll be switching to a new set of series coming up because we're just about to wrap up Father's Day. It's happening this weekend. So the Father's Day series is about to end. But if you're looking for some more Father's Day themed projects, I have a ton of them on my channel. I've done projects for dot painting, wreath making, and candle making for Father's Day. So check that out on my channel. I have a bunch of different projects now that would be a lot of fun and would be really wonderful gifts for your dad. I really enjoyed making this. If you're interested in learning more about dot painting, check out my channel. I have a ton of beginner-friendly projects, some that are in this live stream format where you go through every single step with me in real time, and a number that are 5, 10, 15 minutes long that are much shorter and give you a bit more of a fast run through of a creative project. But I have a ton of them, so I'd love to see you back here again. As I said, we dot paint every Tuesday night, so join me and consider telling a friend. And don't forget to subscribe so that we can continue to get crafty together. Toodaloo!